Hey folks, my name is Mark. I am one of the early testers of the Upskillr program, the business analyst specifically, and I went through it a little bit different, I guess. For whatever reason, I took the business admin certification first, kind of almost by accident, thinking it was something maybe a little bit different, but it was perfect for me. I'm glad I did it, and then I went on to the sales admin. Okay. Certificate. So as I'm going through the sales admin certification on Trailhead, right, and working my way through the different sections there, the requirements. One of those was where they kind of introducing the whole idea of Salesforce partners and consultants and all of that, what these guys do, and there's a whole bunch of them listed on there, and you get an opportunity to kind of network with them or reach out or hey, here's my profile or whatever. Go ahead and do that. So I did all of that, kind of following what their suggestions are. And I'll be darned if one of them didn't respond. And so it's this small consultant. He kind of works by himself. Of course, he brings on people, I'm sure, from time to time to help him. Guy's name's Andy, and he runs this company called Upskillr. His main job is, obviously doing project work for clients, right? And so this was kind of just a side thing for him anyway at the time. But he had this functionality that, we as we got to visiting, he thought, well, why not let this guy, me, right? Why not let this guy, be my guinea pig here, my test bunny, and as they say in Russian, test rabbit, experimental rabbit. Let him go through and just see what happens, right? Let him work his way through this thing. And obviously Andy wasn't going to devote a ton of time, and he told me right away. So look, this is going to be hard. You're going to have you're going to have to want to. You're going to have to find your own answers. You're going to run. It's just like the real world. You're going to have to put your big boy pants on. You're going to have to figure it out. And what I just said, is the beauty of this program, because that's what I needed. All right, the business analyst part was really what I think the whole training was aimed for. But man, this was great for learning as a Salesforce admin, because you were forced, as you're developing these user stories and kind of translating that into what the solution might look like. Well, there's no one to hand it off to. You're making the solutions yourself. You're everybody in this. You're the guy, just like Andy is in his business, right? And so I really got a ton of value out of this. This is not a paid deal. It was not a real project, not a real client. It was an AI persona. Most of the interaction was just emailing back and forth with some robot, right? But I got a wealth. I'm not sure I passed the admin certification if I hadn't have done this, if I'm being honest. This was so hard, and it was so frustrating, and it was so challenging, but you learned it. And you learned it by doing it, and it was something that I just wasn't going to get by going through Trailhead. I didn't have to pay anything. I didn't get paid. It was a sweat equity kind of a deal. And if anyone finds anything like this with any other developer, I recommend that they jump on it. I was so fortunate just to hit the guy at the right time and be in the right place. So this is for Andy and Upskillr. Great training, great concept. And we'll look at a few things here. We're going to go through the proposal, which kind of gives a scope of work, and I'll even show you the user stories that I came up with. I think I had like 10 of them. So here we are. This is how we began, right? And so Andy sent me this and said, listen, here's our proposal. And at this point in time, the client has signed up, right? And here you are, the business analyst for whoever this consultant is, and this is your role. You're going to step in. You're going to go introduce yourself to Carl. Right, Carl's the sales manager at a company called Brattleboro Manufacturing. I'm assuming that's in Vermont. Okay, and so it's really focusing on the sales cloud. Okay, And so here we go. The proposal outlines the scope of work for implementation of Salesforce Sales Cloud at Brattleboro Manufacturing. Right, sales manager is Carl Weathers. Right, so if you recognize that's the actor that played Apollo Creed in Rocky. Andy's originally from Philadelphia, so I'm sure that was kind of a little homage to his hometown. Primary objective: customize and implement Salesforce Sales Cloud. All right, we're going to streamline the sales operations at Brattleboro Manufacturing, and so obviously the idea is, okay, what's the pain points? What are we doing now? What's causing the undesired effect of what's not going right? What do we need to improve? And that was kind of the whole idea. So initial setup. Leads, opportunities, accounts, contacts. That's mostly where I lived in my project. I did get into setting up some product categories, right? Because they do a lot of. One of the first things that Carl told me, and as I'm going back and forth, Carl is just an AI bot that's emailing me back and forth, and so I email him, he emails me back, and that's how now. There were some inflection points, as we need to do demos for the client that Andy would bring on a real person. I won't name him here, super nice guy, but he would kind of play the role of of Carl during the real demos, and it would usually only take 45 minutes or an hour, and we did about, I think, 3 of those. So custom, you get it, right? You're trying to figure out what the processes are, document them, ask the questions. As a X, I would want to be able to do Y, by, and then figure out the solution from there, right? Workflow creation, do we have any automations that we need to build? A lot of this was reporting, dashboards, reports, things like that. We never did really get to the training. I would have and that could be a cool phase 2 of this project, was actually, okay, here's what you've built, now you got to train these guys. That would have been a fun part, and maybe we'll come back and do that again. Maybe there'll be a phase 2 to this thing. I'd be totally open to that. So what did that really look like? Let me kind of close this thing down here if I can, and let's come over here. There we go. We'll just drag this over. So these were there you go, 10 of them. As a sales rep, I want a simple way. These are my user stories. As a sales rep, I want a simple way to log calls and emails with the client in order to save time and effort. That's kind of out of the box functionality. I just showed that here's what you do. Sales manager, I want to be able to track deals in pipeline, moving through stages. Forecasting was a thing set up, so we turned on their forecasting and kind of showed them how that worked. I want to be able to quickly approve pricing and discounts as the sales reps are making their quotes, and then there was some allowances there for automatic. This is the classic case, right? If you don't discount over X percent, the thing automatically approves it. You just set that up, right? We've all done that. As a sales manager, I want the customer records for closed. Maybe learn some grammar, Mark. I want customer records for closed deals to be handed off to account managers or sales support staff. So yeah, this was one. At the end of the deal, after we're closed, we want to be able to trigger some follow-on process functionality. At least notify people, right? And that's really all I did there. This was the hard one, right? This was, I want to have an updated view to multiple key performance indicators, customer churn rates, average length of the sales cycle. I did a joint report on that, and conversion rates. And so I built dashboards and reports. This is what I spent a lot of time on this. I'll show you that when we get to that point. I want a pipeline report that shows any key accounts that may require follow-up steps in order to avoid any opportunities falling through the cracks. This really became kind of the theme. We don't want deals falling through the cracks, right? We pay money to get these leads. We want to work these leads. And I think that's true probably at any organization, profit or nonprofit. As a sales manager, I want to automate reporting with other departments in my organization, so that production team, so that the production team, logistics, et cetera, can see, as well as customer service team will have some advanced insight. So they want to be able to see deals as they're coming through the pipeline, right? A lot of that's just notifications, nothing really to see here. I want to be able to quickly approve custom orders. All right, this is why I set up different product families. I'll show you that later, but if it was a custom order or just a standard order, I differentiated between those two. I set up different, I think, price books. And they're, and it would just basically say, hey, look, this guy's trying to do a custom order, right? So maybe have a manual person look at that versus just, selling something off the shelf. I want as marketing manager, I want lead forms to flow right into our pipeline, so that sales support staff can assign to sales reps as needed. I didn't set up auto assignment on this one. I know you can, and I think I might go ahead and just do that anyway, just for my own edification. But because of that last part, that's what the client said they didn't want that. They'll have the sales support staff. Maybe I'll just have everything fine. You know what? Maybe I'll do that. I'll just auto assign to sales support staff and then let them hand it off. But yeah, I did set up a lead form. It's on my webpage. You'll see it there. You can actually put yourself and create your own lead and be in our sandbox org if you want to. Finance managers, they need to be notified when a sales rep requests payment terms for a client, right? So I did set up a little payment terms field. I think I just did a drop down, select, and yeah, you'll see all of that when we get to it. But these are the user stories. This is really okay. Once we felt like we had enough, Andy reviewed them and said, okay, this looks good. Go. All right, now go build it. And so that was the project, right? And it took a while. Especially this one here, this fifth one was really a bear. I had to, spend some time learning on YouTube and looking things up and yeah. I did do one automation on the falling through the cracks. I mean, part of this was a report just showing what hasn't been worked recently, but I also created an automation where, if an opportunity hadn't had any updates and and I set it up originally to run daily, and then I changed that to run weekly, I think on Thursdays, so that if something had been kind of stagnant for 3 days, then it would assign a follow-up request, a follow-up task to the owner, the sales rep, and it would also send a note to the sales manager. Or no, I didn't send a note to the sales manager on that one, but he could see. Yeah, we'll have to look at that. Anyway, that's the project in a nutshell. And what I'll do probably in success and follow-on videos is we'll go through these user stories and kind of look at here's what I did. All right, thanks for sitting through this. Thanks for watching, and thank you again, Andy. I appreciate you, man. This was really cool.